Let's bring in Peter Mathews. He's a professor of political science at the Cypress College and author of Dollar Democracy with Liberty and Justice for Some. He joins us live from Los Angeles. Good to have you with us. Certainly an interesting couple of hours and more. Also interesting that the White House has already congratulated Hillary Clinton on securing delegates needed to clinch the Democratic nomination. Do you think, other than congratulating her, that's a message as well towards Sanders?
Well, yes, it's an attempted message towards Sanders to step down and endorse her, but Bernie's not going anywhere. I believe he and his followers want him to go all the way to the convention and to make sure that his ideas, the progressive ideas he stands for, actually are implemented in the platform, and that Hillary won't have such an easy ride. And also, people are concerned about some of the scandals that Hillary has been through and whether that could hurt her with the Trump election if she runs against Trump. And so that has to be cleared up as well. I mean, she's under an FBI investigation right now for possible email problems, and that has to be resolved. Otherwise, she'll be a weaker candidate. And Bernie makes that point that he's the stronger candidate, with the polls showing him way ahead, as your analyst just said, and way ahead of Trump, double digits, when Hillary actually is tied with Trump. That's something the superdelegates have to really consider, and I'm concerned why the AP had called the election early for Hillary yesterday when the superdelegates haven't even voted yet. So that's very important to note that.
Okay, so tell us how you think it's going to work out now as far as Sanders is concerned.
Of course, I think from what I've seen in the past in Bernie's campaign, Sanders' campaign, is I believe Bernie and his followers want him to go all the way through till the July 25th convention and then make appeal to the superdelegates to support him. Well, you have to look at why the superdelegates were established in the first place. It was after George McGovern had a disastrous election against Nixon. He won the grassroots campaign for primary back in 1972, and he lost to Nixon 2-1, the Democratic candidate George McGovern. And then what happened was the Democratic Party said, we can't let just anyone be nominated. We have to have some well-established politicians, people who know the system, and people in Congress to be part of the superdelegate system who could then help to steady the hand of the people's choice and to choose the stronger candidates running in the fall against the Republican. And that's what Bernie's asking for now. Although inherently the superdelegate system is not really truly democratic. But now that it's in place, then the question is, should they choose Hillary Clinton, who might be the weaker candidate against Trump? Or should they be loyal to the party and the platform of the party and say we have to have someone who can win and implement the platform of the party and then choose Bernie Sanders? Either way, it'll be legitimate because that's why they were set up for that reason. If they choose Sanders, it'll still be legitimate because neither of them have actually attained the full delegate count that's needed without the superdelegates.
Okay, no one to worry about, obviously, is Donald Trump. It was interesting to see him speak using a teleprompter. Do you think he's been reined in?
Absolutely. He's way off the cuff. And when he mentioned that about the judge who's a Mexican-American, and he says this is a Mexican, that was horrendous because it undercut any kind of approach to bring the Latino community back to the Republican Party. And Donald Trump's only drawing 20% of the Latino support, by the way, 20% of the Latino vote, whereas George Bush, when he won his election in the general election, he won 40%, and no Republican can win with less than 35% of the Latino vote. So Trump is in a very weak position there, and he's complicating it by making these horrible racist-oriented remarks. And to rein him in, they gave him a teleprompter. Let's see what happens if he can stick to it.
Exactly. And I mean, you can really see now how different the two stances are at the moment. I mean, Hillary Clinton dominating the events of this moment and what Trump is saying, and where both parties are positioned.
Yes, indeed. Of course, it's a historical event when Hillary, if she does win this formally at the convention. It's a very historic, a first woman president, presidential nominee. And so Trump is trying to make sure he knocks that sheen off of her and brings her down, to his view, to whatever he thinks it should be. And he's using all kinds of negative, and he's got a lot of ammunition for negative campaigning already against Hillary Clinton, talking about the money she took for her private speeches and how there were companies that got favors or some kind of benefits from the policies that were made. And that's kind of a big charge about money in politics and goes back to dollar democracy. And Trump is going to raise that, although he himself is not innocent either. He's taking money now from wealthy special interests and individuals when he pledged to not take any money from anyone else except his own money. He's gone back on that, but yet he can have a lot of ammunition to say that Hillary Clinton is the symbol of corporate dollar democracy, where the big corporate lobbyists and banks from Wall Street essentially not only have given her campaign money through super PACs, but also they have actually given her private money for her salary to make speeches at the tune of $250,000 per speech. Now that's pretty unheard of in most cases. I don't know any other politician that took that kind of money for a speech. And as Bernie pointed out also, Bernie Sanders said, Hillary, if you made a speech in front of Goldman Sachs for $250,000, that must have been a great speech. Can you please release the transcripts? And she still hasn't done that. And Donald Trump will still harangue her on that all the way through.
Well, very good to get your thoughts, Peter Mathews. Thank you.